The US military is not in a good situation because here's what you have to understand. As much as they don't like when military members post on social media, the military has to post on social media themselves. And what I mean by that is one of the greatest marketing campaigns for the military and getting the truth out there is social media. Yet on the flip side, one of the worst things for the military is social media. So in this video, we're going to dig into what the US military does or doesn't do to protect themselves from leaks going out to social media, but we're also going to analyze how other militaries around the world deal with this exact same problem, but it's actually even worse at times. And I'm talking about Russia, so stick with me for that one. My name is T-SPLY, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, first things first, the Pentagon was hammered and questioned, what are you actually doing for protecting yourselves from documents being leaked out to the public? Like, why is such a low-ranking airman able to access all of these documents and such a young airman while you're at it? So let's look at this clip and see what the Pentagon says.
What steps has DoD taken to reduce the number of people who have access to not only these classified briefings, but the classified material in general?
That is the main question a lot of people have been asking. Again, when you look into the specific leaker who put out all those documents on Discord, his job happened to be in IT, so it sort of made sense. But nonetheless, the question is, how many people have access to this database on a need-to-know basis? But let's get into this answer.
Sure. So we continue to review a variety of factors as it relates to safeguarding classified materials. This includes examining and updating distribution lists, assessing how and where intelligence products are shared, and a variety of other steps. I would say, though, that it is important to understand that we do have stringent guidelines in place for safeguarding classified and sensitive information. This was a deliberate criminal act, a violation of those guidelines.
If you guys are not aware, the person, Jack, who leaked all the documents, he's being charged criminally.
And so, again, I think that's important to understand. Now, we will continue to do everything we can to ensure that people who have a need to know when it comes to this kind of information have access to that. We're always going to learn from every situation. But again,
the unfortunate part is the one leak could be super detrimental. Like right now, you know for a fact the US government, this is the last thing they want to be dealing with Africa popping off, Ukraine popping off, is talking about how this airman was able to go on a corny Discord server and leak all these documents.
And let me just emphasize my point that this was we have rules in place. Each of us signs a non-disclosure agreement. We have rules in place.
This right here, I think, is the key point to how the U.S. military protects themselves.
Each of us signs a non-disclosure agreement. Anybody that has a security clearance, and so all indications are, again, this is a criminal act, a willful.
Again, having a security clearance is like an insurance policy for the U.S. military, like you're signing a non-disclosure saying you will not leak classified documents. But nonetheless, we have this situation. But let me go on to what another military has dealt with. Now, I wanted to talk about Russia for a second because here's a very real application as to why you need to be incredibly careful on leaking your own documents or information. And that's not only in the world of paper and posting pictures of memorandums, it also blends into the world of posting videos, such as TikTok videos, and Russian troops are known to post their own TikTok videos and have leaked their own information and capabilities, and this is sort of what happened.
He's used these videos to understand Russia's military movements and gain new insights into the Kremlin's secret plans.
It seems to me that they have brought and they continue to bring capabilities to actually conduct a strategic operation against Ukraine.
Guess what? It doesn't stop there. When Ukraine was about to start their invasion, with all of their troops surrounding the border, a lot of them had Tinder engaged. And through Tinder, a lot of Russian troops and Chechenian troops were actually saying, yes, we are part of the Russian military. Where are you located? We are located in this region. Maybe I can meet you when we cross over the border. And so before we single out the U.S. military, this is not only an issue the U.S. military deals with. You have to understand a lot of people are just human. They don't want to be in the military, and they don't understand the implications of leaking classified information beyond just classified documents. So here's where things can get a little confusing, because you have something called official use and personal use for using social media in the US military. It's pretty self-explanatory. Here's an actual list of approved platforms for official use of the US Army. And you might notice there's some social medias on here that are not being represented. One of them being Discord, and if you scroll down over here, it says TikTok is not approved for official use. Now, official use means like a recruitment center representing the DoD is using TikTok as a platform. They are technically not supposed to be doing that. But here's what's confusing, because for personal use, troops are allowed to use TikTok and other social media platforms that are not technically on here for official use. And so where the lines get gray is that we all know there's a lot of cringy TikTok creators out there, and some of them are pretty good. But nonetheless, they do it in uniform, and then when you look at their bio, it says for non-official use. That's because TikTok is technically not allowed to be used for official use. So before we get all confusing here, the main conspiracy, if you will, or the issue is that even though the US military says we don't use TikTok, we're not allowed to use TikTok, they seem to be okay with allowing their troops to use TikTok, thus officially using it as a recruitment tool, if you will. Because let's be honest, the best and easiest tool to get information out there currently is TikTok. When you look at the demographic of the troops that are in the US military, the majority of troops are 25 and under. And so when we look back at this official use page, I mean, look, no one's using Facebook. Only our grandparents are, and if you're still using Facebook, it's just a joke. We all know most younger kids are not using Facebook. And most younger kids are not using LinkedIn. And no one's using Tumblr. No offense, Tumblr, but it just is what it is. We are in a progression of social media, and TikTok happens to be the one that most younger kids are using. And we all know the US military is trying to target the demographic of Gen Z or 25 and younger. If you don't believe me, here is their social media campaign from the US Army called Emma the Calling.
I finished high school at the top of my class and then attended UC Davis, where I joined a sorority full of other strong women.
Now, I know this was pretty controversial as a social media campaign, but nonetheless, it gives you insight to what demographic the US military is trying to target. And let's be honest, most social media campaigns are all about dropping an airstrike or jumping out of airplanes, not typically a young girl going through college hanging out with her sorority friends. So I hope you are sort of understanding this dilemma of where the US military, they would probably love to never have to use social media because they don't want to risk troops using social media. But on the flip side of the coin, let's look at personal use, because there are some pretty strict rules on what you can and can't do. And again, although this is the US Army guidelines, there's a lot of overlap from all branches. And it gets pretty specific, like you must report conduct, you got to be careful what private groups you're in. And here are your basic rules. Soldiers who are on duty or in uniform are prohibited from participating in any interview or discussion as an advocate for or against a party, candidate, or cause. Like, that is the main thing. The pretty basic rule is that if you are in uniform, you cannot talk about political parties, you cannot gain any money, advertise for other businesses, because you are representing the DoD when you are in uniform. Now, soldiers who are off duty and not in uniform are permitted to follow, friend, or like a political party or candidate running for partisan office. You are allowed to generally express their personal views on public issues or political candidates via social media platforms, much the same as they would be permitted to write a letter to the editor of a newspaper. Now, in the case of the National Guard airman, he's in a weird situation because even though he's like part-time military, no matter what, once you sign that security clearance, you are giving an insurance policy to the military saying you will not leak classified documents, whether in uniform or out of uniform. It doesn't make your punishment worse. So what do we do from here? I don't think there's much the US military can do other than to keep restricting who will get access to certain databases. Maybe there will be new requirements, like you can't just be straight from the streets and all of a sudden you have access to all this information. They might have to build in some sort of trust system. Because again, you cannot get rid of social media for troops. They are people too outside of uniform. These are not like some conscripts where even though you feel like you're in prison, you're not in prison. You do have a lot of rights, a lot of basic American rights, constitutional rights, if you will. And when you look at this number where over half of the military is Gen Z or younger, it looks like that is the main category and demographic of who's going to join the military. And I'm not here to say that Gen Z or younger kids are the problem. Not at all. I'm not saying that. What What I am saying is the younger population tends to use social media websites that could get you in a little bit of trouble, such as TikTok, such as Discord, and I'd even almost put Reddit in that category. So we are in a no-winning situation for the US military. I am rather interested to see what the progression will be, because we're all about independence in this military. We're all about being individuals, but within the US military, it's all about being a single unit. You shouldn't be seeking self-gain. You shouldn't be the one who looks cool by posting dumb and corny things on Discord in your local little group to show how cool you are to teenagers. Nonetheless, this is an issue that needs to be addressed, and I don't think the US military is going to do it as public as they want to do it. What they do need to get rid of are incompetent military members who cannot be trusted. I think we give away way too many security clearances, and I think only having 3 of them is not enough. I think we need to have multiple of them for specific things. Anyway, let me know what your opinions are. My name is T-SPLY. I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave all your comments down below. I love to read all of your comments and your opinions, and we'll see you later.